Boom. Start recording.
We started, and
And
welcome to.
well, we probably have to do clap sync.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nope.
Cool.
Okay, we're back.
Hi.
We're back with the Uminekos.
Moomin Rider, yeah.
Moon Rider.
Yeah, and we're back with Umin Rider.
Yeah. Okay. So you've had like half a week to think about the murders and stuff. So you probably already figured it out. That's a pretty long time.
Yep, I definitely have. So I do have a theory.
Oh.
So Natsia was essentially going to be murdered because there was like blood on the doorknob, but the charm that Shannon gave her, or that Jessica gave her, kept whatever was trying to kill her at bay.
Yep.
I think that it was probably Eva and or Hideyoshi who killed all of these people.
You think so?
I think so, because this way they would have a straight shot to getting the treasure.
To getting the inheritance, right?
Yeah, the inheritance and and the monies, all the monies.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because Ava dislikes Natsui.
Oh yeah, Eva doesn't like Natsui, but then why? Oh, why would I was going to say why wouldn't they kill Natsui? But she had the charm on her door.
Exactly. So it was something like some sort of magic bullshit. Kept Ava and or Hideyoshi from killing her somehow. So maybe it was like they were possessed or some shit.
And then they saw.
And then, yeah.
Hmm. What were you gonna say?
And then they killed Shannon in her in her place.
Oh, that was exactly what I was about to say. I was going to say, and then they saw Shannon in the hallway locking things up. But then I thought, oh,
Yeah,
I shouldn't. Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that was what you were going to say.
Maybe, yeah. I'm already figured it all out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this way they're uncontested with finding gold and getting the inheritance, setting their son up George for life.
Yeah, George will, or Jessica's still alive though.
Yeah, but they'll kill her, probably.
Maybe.
And then Gouda and Shannon seem like collateral. It's like, just kill servants because we need to get all the stuff for the
epitaph.
Yeah, the epitaph.
Hmm.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So, I figured it out. We can just stop now because I already know what happens.
Oh yeah,
This
is really easy to figure out. It's one of those. You can just tell what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And the next people who are gonna die is gonna be Hideyoshi and Eva because they're gonna be the closest to solving it.
Huh?
The next people who are gonna die is gonna be Hideyoshi and Eva because they're gonna be the closest to solving it.
I thought you said that they were the culprits.
Yeah, they were the culprits, but they're only the culprits because they want to get a head start on finding the gold.
So who's gonna kill them?
Fucking, I don't know. George?
George is gonna kill his parents?
I don't know. That seems like the most logical thing.
Okay.
That these two are gonna die somehow.
Even though they killed the other six? Why would they?
Because they
want
killed the other six because they're searching for the gold and stuff.
Yeah,
Because they want the monies.
Mm-hmm. And so
children are also suspects.
Yeah, but
so I'm thinking Maria's gonna be top dog.
Maria's gonna kill Eva and Hideyoshi.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Yep.
Let's see if that happens.
Let's see.
Okay. Are you ready to read?
This is Battler?
No, I think this is me, because, it says... I'm pretty sure this isn't from his point of view, because it says something... I'm pretty sure...
Yeah, it doesn't write in first person, it doesn't seem.
Yeah. Okay. All that could be heard was the sound of the rain, the voices from the kids' TV program Maria was watching, and the engrossed Maria's cackling voice. In other words, what greeted them as they returned dumbfounded from that horrible, bizarre scene was the voice of Maria as she rolled around laughing at the TV. Those who returned to the room didn't know how to explain to Maria that her mother was dead, and were trapped by suffocating silence. At first, Maria returned their stares with a dubious look, but when she realized they weren't trying to blame her for anything, she ignored them and again immersed herself in the TV program. The children wordlessly sat down heavily on the sofa. Their minds were probably blank from their state of shock. Everyone had already cried and mourned so much, but now they just vaguely sat there, their faces seeming to have lost all emotion. Only Cannon had returned to his usual calm expression. However, that probably didn't mean he'd been able to wipe out the shock. Nothing was reflected in his eyes as he stared into empty space. Hideyoshi kept on fidgeting, and every time he remembered that horrible scene, he started muttering about how he couldn't believe it, how it couldn't have been something from this world, how it must have been the work of demons. Every now and then, his mutterings produced a question directed at Nanjo. But the latter kept repeating in a calm, doctor-like manner that nothing could be understood by only glancing at the scene, and that until the police arrived, they wouldn't learn anything. However, Nanjo only appeared calm next to Hideyoshi, who simply couldn't suppress his agitation and fear. In fact, Nanjo had also received a huge shock, and his face was a deathly pale. Maybe that atmosphere was why she tried to rise to the challenge and take charge. Natsui appeared to be unchanged from her normal attitude, and she briskly gave directions.
I will go see father. Genji, quickly contact the police.
Certainly.
I wonder if you would allow me to take along, Natsui. Since Cross is now gone, the task of meeting father has been left to me. It would be improper of me to relax here while relying entirely on you.
Natsui was struck speechless by Eva's aggressive move in a situation like this. She seemed to be claiming that, with Kraus dead, the one to take responsibility shouldn't be his wife, but herself, the next highly ranked in the family. Or maybe she hadn't been at all happy when Natsui took command without reference to her in such an extreme situation. However, even Eva's mind had been blank from shock until a moment ago. She only came to her senses after Natsui started giving orders.
Just do as you like.
Natsui started walking without saying a word more. Eva followed behind her. As they did, Kumasawa ran into the parlor. She usually wasn't the kind of person to run around, so under normal conditions, most people would have taken her entrance as sign that something was the matter. But because everyone was still stricken with shock, they hardly even noticed her.
Madam?
If you're looking for Natsui, she went to see father. She'll probably be back soon. What happened, Kumasawa?
You see, in the dining hall, there was blood. Blood!
The ears of everyone in the parlor twitched. Everyone thought the same thing. I hope I misheard that. Any container can only hold so much, and no one here would be capable of handling yet another tragedy. So they all thought it. I hope I misheard that.
What happened in the dining hall?
When I went to the dining hall to set up for breakfast, Oh, wah, 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 wah.
That's some cry.
The first one to start running was George. His harsh footsteps jogged Hideyoshi and Nanjo to their senses, and they chased after him. Battler and the others followed. They flew into the dining hall one after another, but they didn't find any change that might have caused Kumasawa to go pale. To those who had viewed that gruesome scene in the storehouse, it was a bit of an anticlimax. However, Kumasawa, who had followed them, pointed it out. There really were some traces of blood remaining on the floor. Compared to that terrible scene, it wasn't very impressive. However, if you calmly thought about it, this definitely indicated the loss of a lot of blood.
There's another puddle of blood over here. What in the world?
It appears that a great deal of time has passed. It's probably safe to say that they were killed here last night. It definitely looks that way. We were talking together in the dining hall until late into the night. After that, someone must have forced their way in.
Dad, when did you and Mom slip out of the meeting and go to sleep?
It was a little past midnight. So, we should probably assume it happened after that.
Are you kidding me? Give me a break.
Milady, please, stay strong.
After seeing that hell on earth in the storehouse, this is nothing. Really? Good for you. I feel like my head's gonna explode. This is the dining hall, right? Every day this is where I eat, complain about school, complain about homework, talk to my dad about my grades. That's what this place is to me.
Milady, it wouldn't be good to remain here any longer. Let's return to the parlor.
I agree. Uncle Hideyoshi, I think this room will be really important to the police. Don't you think it'd be bad if we trample it all over it?
Battler proposed this in a slightly firm voice as, along with Cannon, he grabbed the pale and shaking Jessica's shoulders.
Everything is just as Battler has said. There is nothing more to be gained from remaining in this room.
Nanjo spoke while looking at everyone's pale faces. Even though that horrible scene in the storehouse felt like something not of this world, at least then we'd be able to leave, to cut ourselves off from that place and run away. Everyone had shared in that feeling. However, this dining hall was different. It was in the mansion, the main building on this estate, and as Jessica had said, it should have been one of the most calming places even inside the mansion. It was where all of the relatives had eaten lunch and dinner yesterday. The shock of seeing this place smeared with blood reminded us of that horrible spectacle in the storehouse, and forced us to accept that we hadn't really been able to run away from the scene of that tragedy.
I agree too. The culprit might have left traces in this room. Amateurs like us shouldn't stir the place up. Let's leave quickly. Quickly.
Hideyoshi also understood the meaning of what Battler had said, and pushed everyone to hurry out of the dining hall. The way we were then, looking at that blood any longer would have been too harsh. Nobody went against his words. Everyone raced each other out of the dining hall. It was almost as though the last person in the room would be trapped in there all alone. Once in the hallway... Oh, this is
me.
Yeah.
Once in the hallway, we lent a hand to Kumasawa, who is still trembling and leaning against the wall. And we all headed back into the parlor together. Then Genji returned.
Oh, Genji, were you able to contact the police?
As to that, I'm afraid I must apologize. I don't know if it was a failure of the radio or something else that caused it, but...
What the? So you couldn't contact the police? Both the phone and the radio failed?
My apologies. A boat will be arriving on Monday morning, and I believe we will be able to borrow their communications equipment.
Isn't there a boat on this island? Can't we just take a little trip out to the Nijima Police Department? Hideyoshi, that would be impossible with this weather. At the very least, we can't do anything until the typhoon passes us by.
Krause's boat is being repaired and is not on the island.
Therefore, we must wait for the boat coming on Monday. How could this happen? 6 people are dead. The phones and radio aren't working, and there's no boat. So until the typhoon passes and the boat comes, in other words, until tomorrow morning, we're going to be stuck here on this island, unable to contact the police, aren't we?
Which means that not just us, but the criminal who killed everyone is also confined to the island. That certainly follows. The culprit who killed everyone is still here in the island. So, the bastard who killed Dad and the others must be hiding somewhere, unable to escape. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. I'll catch that bastard. No way, I hand him over to the police. I'll slice him to bits myself. Maria had finally realized that something odd was happening in the parlor. Rather than noticing something odd, it was probably better to say she felt unhappy and neglected, since everyone was getting so excited about something only she didn't know about. Ooh, Jessica, did someone die? The way she spoke was completely calm, just as though she was talking about someone who had appeared on a television drama, as though it was someone else's problem. Jessica probably didn't like that, as though trying to say, "Can't you just tell by looking at me, overwhelmed with grief?" She flared up at Maria. They all died, everyone, my dad and Battler's parents, Goda and Shannon, and even your mother. Stop it, Jessica. You aren't the only one who's sad.
Maria, I know this will come as a shock, but please listen. Your mother has died.
Mama died? Ooh. Yeah, someone killed her. I know it's sad, but stay strong. How many people died? 6 people. 6 people. Damn it, damn it, damn it. How could anyone do something that cruel? There's a limit to how cruel you can be if you're a human. I don't know who it is, but the culprit isn't human. There's no way their blood is red. Ooh, the culprit isn't human. It's just the being chosen by the bee. Huh? Hey, Maria. Did you say something just now? Maria had just said something, but since the words were so remotely separate from the flow of the context of the conversation, I couldn't understand them for a second. When I tried to ask her to repeat it again, I was shocked by the sudden sound of Aunt Natsi's voice loudly coming from the entrance to the parlor.
Oh.
It looked like Aunt Natsi and Aunt Eva had returned from their trip to see grandfather.
You can't contact them even with the radio? If we can't use it at a time like this, why do we even have an emergency radio?
My apologies. It was supposed to have a maintenance inspection every year.
Wait, don't you have one of those boat signaling devices that makes a flashing light? Couldn't you use that to contact the next island?
We do not have such equipment. My sincere apologies.
Just then, Kumasawa arrived, pushing a serving cart loaded with breakfast. Since there was no way we'd be able to eat in the dining hall, Hideyoshi had ordered her to take it out to the parlor.
Why are we eating breakfast here?
Natsui, I'll tell you later. More importantly, Eva, how was father? Judging by the fact that he is not with you, it seems he will not leave his room, not even for a situation like this.
He wasn't there. The room was empty.
What the? Where could he have gone at a time like this?
Do you mean to say the master has left his study?
That is correct. I was surprised myself. I wonder when he left his room. Do any of you have an idea?
Natsu looked at Genji and Kanon as she said this. Maybe she was trying to ask whether the servants who served directly under the one-winged eagle knew the place he might go. However, it was probably the other way around. Their faces made it clear that those who knew Kinzo best realized even more than the rest how impossible it was for him to leave his room.
Even we have no idea. As you all know, within that study, the master had everything from a place to sleep to a bathroom. I couldn't imagine him leaving that room except for a significant reason.
In that case, what? Isn't it natural to assume that one of those significant reasons came up?
We still cannot be certain that's the case. Anyway, he is a fickle person, so it's possible he went for a walk by himself, unaware of the current situation. If that is the case, then we must act in all haste to tell him what has happened and ask for instructions.
That's right. Although I don't want to think about it, it's possible something has happened to him, isn't it?
I'd rather not even consider such a sinister possibility.
No one had seen Kenzo since the discovery of those 6 terrible corpses. On top of that, the phones were broken, the radio wouldn't reach anyone, and there was no way to contact the police. Apparently, a typhoon would leave tomorrow and a boat would come. Until then, no one could rely on anyone outside the island, nor could they escape the island. The tragedy had hit everyone so abruptly that they'd lost all their composure. Everyone felt a heavy silence. Everyone was impatient. Even though they needed to do something, they couldn't think of anything. Some of them held their heads in their arms while others got irritated. Right now, no one could explain what was occurring on the island Rakanjima. After that, we ate the breakfast Kumasawa had made, which felt dry and tasteless. Of course, this was right after something like that had happened. No one felt particularly hungry. However, we understood logically that not eating would weaken our bodies. It would also be rude to Kumasawa, who had made the breakfast. Kumasawa had taken some unusual Western vegetables, ones that Goda had probably ordered for his ultra-elaborate meals, and cooked them in a Japanese style, which made them turn an unpleasant color. As to what Goda had been planning to cook with those ingredients, right then I couldn't even imagine it. If I did think about it, I'd be reminded of the way Gouda died, and a sour taste would fill the inside of my mouth. Everyone pretended to eat for the time being, but of course, no one made much progress. Then we began pooling our knowledge of the current situation. First off, 6 people, which included Uncle Kraus, my dad, Kiri, Aunt Rosa, Gouda, and Shannon, had been found in the Rose Garden storehouse as brutally murdered corpses. And yet, we still couldn't contact the police since both phones and radio were unusable. So, until the typhoon passed, there was nothing we could do. Furthermore, Grandfather, who we might have hoped would be able to show a little leadership in this kind of situation, had disappeared some time ago. Goda hadn't made breakfast, so Grandfather's stomach must have been empty. And if he had just been taking a casual walk, we should have been able to hear him whining about how hungry he was by now. And despite that, he hadn't appeared. There was more than a small chance that he'd gotten caught up in this crime. According to my aunts, on the way back from Kenzo's study, they'd searched for him, calling out on every floor, but were unable to find him. Considering the timing of it all, it's only reasonable to assume that this disappearance had something to do with the crime. We figured Dad and the rest were probably killed in the dining hall, and then painstakingly moved to the storehouse. So maybe Grandfather has already been killed, and dragged to some strange place which we simply haven't discovered yet. No one actually said it out loud, but this theory seemed extremely convincing.
We will go check that all of the windows and doors are locked. We must also conduct a thorough search for Father. The children must remain in this room. Eva and Hideyoshi, I'm sorry, but please stay here with the children. I'd like to ask you the same, Dr. Nanjo.
I understand. I will wait here.
Aunt Nancy followed the servants, Genji, Kumasawa, and Cannon, out of the parlor. All that was left was Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, Dr. Nanjo, and the 4 of us children. A total of 7 people.
Let's all stick together and maybe watch some television while we wait. Though I doubt we'll find anything good in the middle of the day on a Sunday.
Uncle Hideyoshi started acting cheerfully, trying to brighten up this gloomy atmosphere. Ooh, good show. Watch it, ooh.
Oh, really? You want to watch TV, Maria? Then come and watch it with your uncle.
Maria was the only one who joined in. Even though Marie hadn't told of her mother's death, she didn't show the slightest flicker in her emotions. Was it really normal for a 9-year-old girl like Marie to act so much like a very young child? Everyone else's mood failed to improve, and they each sank absent-mindedly into their sofas. Aniki, can I ask you something? What is it? Just now in the storehouse, you said something about Shannon and a ring. Did you give that to her? George didn't answer, but he hung his head and closed both of his eyes. There could be no clear response. Quit it, Battler. Figure it out yourself. You're right. I shouldn't have asked. That's right. It was me. Last night, I proposed to her. That was when I gave her the ring. Told her that tomorrow she should put it on whatever finger she wanted. As her answer. Haha, guess that was a pretty pretentious thing to say. And that ring had been on the finger of Shannon's left hand. Well, several years ago, Shannon came to me asking for advice about you, George.
Aww.
I wonder what she could have said. Shannon was always really bad at lying. It was obvious pretty quickly that you were the one she was talking about. She asked whether it'd be okay for her to get close to someone, even though she was only a servant. She asked about what kinds of things boys liked, what kind of clothes she should wear to make them happy. Lots of stuff like that. Well, I guess you could say I felt envious hearing her say that. So, then she was giving an engagement ring, and it all ended right there. Different people value different things differently, but being proposed to by a man, well, it can be the high point of your life. So I'm sure last night, I'm sure Shannon was happy from the bottom of her heart. Happier than she's ever been since the day of her birth. George sighed deeply without raising his head, or maybe tears had risen in his eyes. It seems Shannon was on duty in the guest house last night, but because she was too embarrassed to go back to the guest house with me, she went over to the mansion. Think about how Shannon must have felt. When you receive an engagement ring, then no matter how much warning you've been given beforehand, it's perfectly normal to get so excited that your mind goes blank. She must have been incredibly embarrassed. And then Shannon went to the mansion, even though she hadn't been assigned there. Helped Goda with his work. I got caught up in this crime. If only I hadn't given her that ring on that day, in that place, Shannon Sayu wouldn't have been caught up in that crime. Anki, that's the one place where you're wrong. It's definitely wrong. So don't cry anymore.
Ah.
I wish I could be as loud as I wanted. That would be awesome. Battler, let's leave him be. After Eva said that, I stopped talking to him. Misplaced words of comfort might actually do more harm than good. Jessica sat down next to Anki and put an arm around him. Maybe only Jessica, who had known about Anki and Shannon's love since the beginning, and who had even discussed that relationship with Shannon, could comfort Anki now. I went over to Aunt Eva and sat down on the opposite sofa. Battler, you really are strong. It looks like you've kept a good hold on yourself. Well, look, the depth of love becomes the depth of the wound, right? After all, it's not like how that old bastard died has anything to do with me. I felt bad about Kiri, but, well, she wasn't actually my parent. My. If that's so, you certainly were crying a lot back then. Well, I did think at least that much crying was due as gratitude to the parents who raised me. The speed of that changeover in that dry tone must have come from Rudolph. That kid would always get violently happy, sad, and angry, but he'd always regain his cool immediately afterwards. It's nothing like that. I haven't really been able to get over the shock yet. I think the only difference between me and everyone else is the kind of emotions it stirred in me. What do you mean? I've been acting much calmer than George and Jessica. That wasn't because my sadness was any less intense or because I'd already recovered. My sadness was simply getting replaced gradually with a different emotion. Rather than sad, I'd say I'm more pissed off. What bastard did this and where? It's kind of been eating at me since I didn't get a chance to smack him upside the face. That was what I really wanted to do. I couldn't forgive myself if I just sat there overwhelmed with sadness and hugging my knees. Since the time Dad and the others were killed, the island has been covered by the typhoon, which means the bastard responsible for all this is still somewhere on this island. Yes, that would seem to be the case. I wonder if they're hiding somewhere in that dark forest even now. I felt like I'd had a very similar conversation with Kiri the night before. That's right, after the letter from the person claiming to be Beatrice appeared at the dining hall table last night, we talked about whether or not a 19th person actually exists. And Eva, do you think this murder has anything to do with the letter from Beatrice last night? Ah, that one? Well, I wonder. All the siblings agreed that the mysterious letter was sent to further complicate the problem of father's inheritance. As to whether that and the case this morning are related, it's impossible to tell at this stage. Well, that letter really given to Marie by some witch called Beatrice? How could it be? All of it would be a farce devised by father, wasn't it? He made Shannon or someone wear a dress from the portrait and trick Maria, right? Isn't that just the kind of overly intricate prank father would pull? Last night, I talked with Kiri about whether Beatrice actually exists, and Kiri also said that Beatrice is probably one of the 18 of us. Isn't that obvious? There's no one else in the island besides us, right? Then there must be someone among us who is pretending to be Beatrice. There's no one else but us on this island. You think? Obviously, right? Are you saying there could be someone else here other than us? No one on the island no one is on the island except us. There are only 18 people. So the one pretending to be Beatrice has to be one of those 18. Kiri had denied the existence of a 19th person by spinning the chessboard around. Even though Aunt Eva hadn't constructed an argument that complicated, her opinion was at least the same. Except if that's the case, our situation starts to look very ugly. At the time of Beatrice's letter, the whole thing could be passed off as a prank set up by someone or another. However, if we're assuming there's no 19th person, we can't ignore this anymore. In other words, if there's no 19th person, then the culprit who killed Dad and the others is also one of the 18, right? So in other words, the person who killed them is one of the people inside this very mansion right now. And Eva smiled meaningfully. It looked like she thought this conclusion should have been obvious from the very beginning. The culprit carried the bodies of those 6 into the storehouse, but even that was an impressive feat, don't you think? That shutter is always closed and locked, right? In other words, in order to carry them into the storehouse, the culprit would need to unlock the shutter. Understand? Is it possible the shutter was left open by mistake that day? The servant said it's always kept locked. In other words, unless the culprit took the keys out from the servant room, there's no way they could have opened the storehouse. I wonder if the key in the servant room is the only one. Genji said that was the case, which means the culprit knew where that single key was and was kept and took it. Just now I watched when Cannon returned the key to the servant room. The wall was packed with keys, and I don't think a novice would know where or what those keys went to. The culprit was miraculously able to find the storehouse key among all of those. Furthermore, even though the key didn't have a tag or anything sticking to it, they knew it was the key to the storehouse behind the rose garden. And that means they also knew where the storehouse was. I'll say it's even clearer. The culprit knew the inside of the servant room well. Her argument was extremely plain and clear. If the bodies had been found thrown somewhere in the bushes of the rose garden, there wouldn't have been much to go on. However, if there was only one key to the storehouse in the servant room, and was stored with such a large group of keys, a novice would not be able to tell them apart. This meant that the culprit was someone who went to the servant room a lot and was familiar with the locations of keys. The family members didn't normally go into the servant room, which means that one of the servants is the culprit. I'm sorry, but even I can't tell you any more than that. However, I'll tell you one thing. What's that? It's reasonable to think the culprits are multiple in number and fairly well armed. They'd have to be, wouldn't they? And they had to assault the 4 in the dining hall and kill them, drag a total of 6 bodies all the way to the storehouse beyond the rose garden, and arrange for that disgusting makeup and the graffiti on the shutter. There's no way that a single culprit could carry out all of that on their own, right? It made sense. It probably would have been possible for a single person with enough time, but it would take so incredibly long. It was probably safe to assume that a significant number of people were involved. What the fuck? I think my game's bugged.
Why?
Maybe not. Phew. So what do you... So... What?
So
So what you're saying is that maybe all of the servants were in cahoots.
yep, that's what it says.
Please keep it quiet, okay? It wouldn't be right to voice mere speculation like this. And if it really is true, what would you do next? They might not let us leave here alive. This is an opponent who had no trouble killing Big Brother, and there were 3 others. Right now, the only ones I can count on to fight with me are the 3 in my family, and maybe you, which comes to a total of 4 people, right? We're no better off than they were last night. In short, it'd be easy for the culprits to massacre the rest of us. I'd been playing detective with Aunt Eva, trying to expose the person who had killed Dad and the rest before the police did. If only I could cleverly penetrate the culprit's identity and stick the proof in their face. I'd been so sure that, just like in one of those detective movies, the culprit would then give up and surrender. However, the culprit would only surrender if there was no way for them to fight back. The culprits behind this crime in the island were far from helpless, and might even be able to massacre all of the remaining people here. And on top of that, the island was like a giant closed room cut off from the outside world by the typhoon. So they had a full day until tomorrow to kill, scheme, and camouflage themselves. In short, it wasn't a safe atmosphere where we could get very far by playing detective. To the contrary, we were at a stage where we had to be scared stiff, since playing detective might displease the culprits and cause them to commit another mass murder. Well, it's just a possibility, right? But I can't bring myself to trust the servants yet. And that doesn't mean I only suspect them. Don't you think there might be some mastermind behind all this? A mastermind? Why do you say that? It's just a feeling. Think about the word servant literally means. It means someone who serves as someone else's arms and legs, right? It was a bunch of Ushiromi family members who got killed. Oh shit. It was a bunch of Ushiromi family members who got killed, so naturally there must be someone involved who stands to gain from that result. This was also plain and clear. The Ushiromi family had been right in the middle of discussions about how to distribute the inheritance when grandfather died. If this case followed the standard form of any classic mystery novel, the crime was definitely caused by someone with ties to the Ushiromi family and who was involved in the inheritance problem. Aunt Eva had probably read a few books in that genre herself. Her argument may have had a few blind assumptions in it, but it was standard conclusion that anyone might have reached. I think most people would end up suspecting the servants, even if they used different reasoning to get there. Especially the story about the key to the shutter. That made it very easy to suspect that one of the servants was involved. And that's why I don't like it. What do you mean, you don't like it? No, just talking to myself. I tried to dodge a question by joking, but I couldn't erase the sense of unease welling up inside me. After all, her conclusion was such an easy one to reach. A conclusion that anyone could reach. And I just couldn't be satisfied with that. If I tried spinning the chessboard around like I learned from Kiri, this was exactly why a servant couldn't possibly be the culprit. If the servants really were the culprits, they wouldn't hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves. Why on earth would they use the rose garden? Shit, if they were the only ones in charge of the key that could unlock it. The police would probably immediately pursue whoever had been in control of the key. It was even possible that some other facts might come to light as a result. The more we think of the servants as the culprits, the less reason they had to carry the bodies into the storehouse. But what if they knew we'd think that, and put the corpses in the storehouse for that very reason? No, that's completely impossible. When the police come and inspect the scene of the crime, they'll probably be able to uncover many things. No matter how carefully the culprits carried out that murder, some traces would definitely be found. In other words, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If you think about it this way and look at the murder game from the culprit side, it's hard to imagine why they want to call attention to the corpses. Once the corpses were found, it could result in someone sending a report to the police, or it might make the remaining people more cautious, or it might make the survivors start to search for the culprit. None of these things would make life any easier for the culprit. It's just like the words of the main character's mother in the novel I read recently, Higurashi no Nakura ni. Every story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Eliminating that beginning is essential for the perfect crime. Right now, we don't know what grandfather is. We don't know if he's already become a victim or if he's one of the culprits. But in this state of confusion, must be beneficial to the killer. The culprit is absolutely nothing to gain by showing us the bodies in such an obvious way and making us all realize there's been murder. In fact, this is the perfect place to spin the chessboard around. In other words, showing us the corpses in such a flashy way must be the culprit's goal in and of itself. So, at the very least, to the culprit, the appearance of 6 corpses meant more than the deaths themselves. In other words, the culprit wanted this murder on display. To whom? To us. This is a message. The culprit's trying to shove something in our faces. I don't know what it is. At this point in time, this vulgar mass murder isn't making me feel anything except a malice directed towards all of us. Malice towards all of us, isn't it? Could have been an order. That's what I'm thinking.
Could have been an order
Yeah.
to the servants?
Because there was talk from someone connected to, from someone in the Ushiroma family to a servant, because they have to obey. That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Each one of the survivors has some kind of connection to one of the 6 victims. Uncle Cress's death brought Jessica the grief of losing a family member. The deaths of Dad and Kiri brought me sorrow, while Aunt Rose's death brought Maria sorrow. Well, I mean, not really. Goat has probably shocked his fellow servants, and Shannon's death brought grief to both George, who had proposed to her, and Cannon, who had loved her like an older sister. Everyone now on this island has received an equal amount of sadness, and Eva was sure the servants were in cahoots. Wait. But these guys don't really give a shit unless they actually love their siblings. Eva and Hideyoshi.
Oh, yeah. If they committed the murders, like you say.
Yeah. And Ava was sure the servants were in cahoots, but then how could you explain the deaths of Goda and Shannon? At any rate, by this argument, the grief caused the 6 deaths hit everyone but Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi. Damn, I already figured it out. Even Aunt Eva, who had direct suspicion of the servants and acted as though she herself was beyond suspicion, cannot be ruled out as a suspect. In the first place, she was able to argue that the servants were suspicious by focusing on the shutter's key. But if you look at it from the perspective of motive and who would gain, Aunt Eva's name rises to the top of the list. I know what you're thinking, Battler. Huh? Oh no, please don't tell anybody about how my head's so full of obscene stuff. I'm the one who's going to gain the most from these murders. Since I'm going to be suspected anyway, I might as well get it out into the open. I tried to dodge the issue by joking around, but apparently it didn't work. The inheritance will be divided into as many parts as there are siblings, but right now I'm the only one of the 4 left. All of the assets of the Ushiroma family will become mine. If Uncle Hideyoshi heard you, he'd say, could you give it rest? It's not funny. I'm sorry. I was just fooling around since I'm going to be suspected anyway, no matter how much I try to smooth it over. That's why, from my point of view, this murder might have been designed to cast suspicion on me. Unfortunately, my alibi for last night is weak. Could you tell me a bit more about last night? As you know, the discussion between the siblings of how to slice up and eat the inheritance continued until late in the night, but I don't know how late it lasted. My husband and I woke up early that morning. We were so sleepy, and a little past midnight they let us go. We then returned to the guest house and rested there. Can anyone other than Uncle Hideyoshi prove that? No, wait, it's not like I suspected or anything, okay? Hehe. Are you sure about that? I don't know if it counts as proof, but when we returned to the guest house, we were greeted by Genji, who asked if we needed a towel. I think that should be enough proof that we returned to the guest house a little after midnight. Though if my theory was correct, the servants would all be in cahoots, and that wouldn't actually make for much of an alibi. Hey, you've got a point there. Guess that means I'm playing detective with the real culprit right now, huh? Hehehe. However, let me say this for my honor's sake. If I was after the inheritance, I'd never commit such a bizarre set of murders. After all, if I just wanted to make them forfeit their rights to the inheritance, it wouldn't matter to me how they died. It'd be much smarter of me to try to make their deaths look like accidents, especially if you're assuming that I laid out some careful plan that involved even the servants. You've got a point there. If you're killing someone for a personal gain, you definitely shouldn't make it look like a murder. Exactly, that's why I'm in such a blue mood. The police will probably treat me like the mastermind and investigate all kinds of things. Not fun at all. Aunt Eva shrugged with a bitter smile. It was just as easy to suspect Aunt Eva as it was to suspect the servants. So if you spin the chessboard around, does that make it impossible for the culprit to be her, suspicious as she is? However, if that sort of argument always works, then motive can never help us in any way. No, that can't be right. Knowing the motive must give us powerful clues towards knowing the culprit. That's why murders from all time periods disguise crimes in complicated ways, cleverly preventing their motives from being discovered. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Every time I spin the chessboard around, it keeps flipping from front to back to back to and back to front. All my thoughts are bringing me closer to the truth, or are they? Dot dot dot. Dot dot dot. Aunt Eva didn't want to talk any more than that, so I folded my arms and headed to the window to cool my head a little. As I looked over the parlor, I saw George and the others gathered, talking. It looked like they were talking about the magic circle that had been painting onto the shutter. As Uncle Hideyoshi thought back to that time, he started drawing the shape in the margins of Maria's notebook. I see, since Maria was second only to grandfather in knowledge of the occult, she might understand what it meant. Everyone was staring down at the shape, so I stared down at it too. From what I'd heard, this had been painted on the shutter to the storehouse with some material that looked like blood. I see, this sure isn't settling. Grandfather's probably the only one who'd want to draw something that's this weird. Seriously, where did he go? I want to grab him and ask him what the hell this is supposed to mean. Jessica's voice contained impatience and anger. She hadn't gone so far as to say grandfather was the culprit, but she seemed sure that grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. Oh shit. Technical difficulties. How often do people actually cite technical difficulties for being a problem, or just say technical difficulties? It could be something like you just don't have enough space. Wait, but you said you just cleared out.
No, it was because my microphone fell out.
That'll do
Yeah,
it.
it's working now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, where are you? And then I can catch up. What are the
Of course,
words?
if you were searching for a link connecting the Ushirome family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of the grandfather.
She hadn't gone so far as to say grandfather was the culprit, but she seemed sure the grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. Of course, if you were searching for a link connecting to the Ushirome family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of grandfather.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Also, to a person who knew nothing of the occult, the strange mark would have no meaning, which meant that this might have been something addressed to grandfather. That's right, and the reason the crime was shown to the survivors was so they'd find this. In that case, where had grandfather, the essential recipient of this message, disappeared off to? Does this strange shape ring any bells? Ooh. Maria looked at the shape with a serious face. Maybe she was enthusiastic because this was her area of expertise. However, her appearance was that of someone separate from the events at hand, as though this thing had been drawn on the shutter closed around her mother's corpse. My first impression was that the design resembled a German cross.
Ah, it certainly does of that kind of design. Does that mean it has something to do with Germany?
Yes, 100%.
The German cross was originally a crest from a religious order of knights and was supposed to protect pilgrims traveling to sacred places.
So in other words, this magic circle might have some religious meaning? This is starting to sound like gibberish. When I looked over at all of them, preparing to jump into the discussion, something shocked me. Maria was smiling, an eerie, incomprehensible expression on her face. It was almost as if she was making fun of everyone's ignorance. It was an expression I wouldn't have dreamed to find on Maria's face. And she laughed. That eerie, jarring laugh was something I didn't want to believe was possible, even though I was looking right in front of my eyes. Oh shit, that's scary.
It's not that scary.
You people aren't even close. Can you tell just by looking? While everyone was busy being scared out of their wits, Maria kept on cackling, happy by herself. After a while, that laugh was suddenly and abruptly cut off. But her expression still looked like it belonged to someone completely different from Maria. There's a 7 magic circle of the sun. The characters are written in Hebrew. Give it here.
Ah, sure.
Maria stole the writing materials from the stunned Hideyoshi's hand. She then started drawing another magic circle with Russell, right next to the one Hideyoshi had drawn. See, it looks sort of like this, right?
Yes, it was.
Maria, incredible. You really do know a lot. Jessica tried to smooth things over by praising Maria. Maybe she wanted to confirm that this was still the Maria we all knew so well, but Maria didn't answer in any way in particular. Maria began swiftly writing unfamiliar characters in the corners of the shape. When Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nandra saw them, their eyes immediately began to open wide. Written at the top and bottom and left, right, are the names of the angels who preside over the wind, fire, earth, and water. Kazan, Errol, Porklan, and Taliad. In the 4 corners are the names of the 4 great kings, Ariel, Surface, Tharsis, and Cherub. Is that what you saw? Even if they hadn't been able to correctly write what they'd seen, when they were once again shown something identical, it wasn't difficult for them to realize that the two were the same. When Maria asked them whether it matched, Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nandra nodded over and over again.
There's no mistake. That's it. I'm sure there were characters that look like that. How were you able to write something like that? There were also characters written around the circumference.
I know. Like this, right? Maria quickly began to surround the circumference with more Hebrew writing. It's from Psalms of the Old Testament, the 16th and 17th verses of the 116th Psalm. You must have at least read the Bible, right? Acting as though knowing this was only common sense, Maria laughed. For a while, everyone, including me, was at a loss for words. A little later, George returned to his senses and slowly managed to speak. That's incredible. I'm surprised. So what meaning does this magic circle have? It's a magic circle to borrow the power of the sun. He who wears it as a talisman drawn in gold shall be able to break free from the bonds of any prison and receive the power to gain freedom. To break free from bonds and gain freedom? It sounds deep. The word bonds is not limited in its interpretation to some kind of physical object. Therefore, it does not only hold meaning for people locked up in an actual jail. It can also refer to the release of mental bonds such as ties of obligation and inescapable fate. Ties of obligation and inescapable fate, you say? That's also pretty deep.
But I really don't understand. What does this have to do with those 6 bodies? Far from being released, they were killed and stuffed in a storehouse, weren't they?
It's not like the magic circle was drawn for their sake. The 6 of them were there for the sake of the magic circle. It is truly pitiable. What do you mean? What in the world do you mean when you say the 6 of them were there for the sake of the magic circle? Maria lifted up her pointer finger and waggled it as if she were making fun of us. That's written all around the circumference. Can't you read it? Psalms chapter 116 verses 16 and 17. I'll read it for you. The Lord has freed me from my chains. I will offer you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call on the name of the Lord. See, you say. I've got no idea what you're talking about. You're saying they're human sacrifices. If what Maria had just read aloud was a vital part of the magic circle, then it was saying that a sacrifice had to be offered in order for this magic circle to be effective. So human sacrifice had been offered inside the storehouse where the magic circle had been drawn. A heartbeat later, everyone else seemed to reach the same conclusion. Some people were shocked and others spat out that this was insane as they punched their knees. This was starting to get incredibly disturbing, and we couldn't accept it or understand it. I don't care what kind of magic circles or curses other people believe in. I won't pick a fight with them. But did they really kill Dad and the rest as sacrifice for crap like that? I just couldn't stand that feeling. Compared to this, I preferred it when they were still disguised by that theory about the fight over the inheritance. As I started getting pissed off at the feeling between anger and sadness, I broke from the circle everyone was in and returned once again to the window. Something had gotten insane since yesterday. There was that letter from the witch Beatrice that Maria had read aloud at last night's dinner. Ever since that point, it feels like like this whole mansion and the whole island have been getting more and more firmly locked in some kind of bizarre world. Can you turn down your game volume?
Yeah? Why?
Because I hear it and it's distracting.
Okay.
Thank you. That's right. When I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of the nighttime island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. The phone and the radio had been interrupted and the island was shut off by the typhoon, so you really could call this place another world, cut off from the real one by now. Yes, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters and for human sacrifice to be offered up for the sake of magic circles. So what will happen next? Will some weird people wearing goat masks start doing the Bond Festival dance or something? It's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up and I don't even know what to think. Anger, sadness, the opposing emotions all swirled up together. It started to suck me in. Unable to resist, I couldn't do nothing but cover my eyes with my hand and trust to my mind and body as I started getting sucked in. As I started losing heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was small. It was from when I was very young. I had unfortunately seen a scary occult movie on TV for a while. And for a while, I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave an exaggerated laugh and said this. Hey Battler, why do you think they all go to the trouble to make movies like this about demons and the occult and such? It's because they don't exist. Something that ridiculous can't be found anywhere on the planet. Because they don't exist, people want to see them and go to a lot of effort making them. That's why those occult movies just make me laugh. If I were forced to choose, I'd stay rather than demons and monsters. This year's earnings call and angry wives are 10 million times scary. I'll go further, okay? From my point of view, getting scared is a recreational emotion, something for people who've gotten room to relax, both in their hearts and in their lifestyles. They had so much free time, they didn't know what to do with it, so in order to entertain their minds with unusual emotions, people started creating a culture with demons and the occult and stuff. Dad, come back. Seriously, why am I acting so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Don't try to mess with me. This is the human world. I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magic circles, and sacrifices. The human who killed Dad and everyone else is still on this island. That's all there is to it, right? The next person who started speaking to my heart was Kiri.
You see, in both chess and shogi, when you reach the very, very last stage of the game and get closer and closer to cornering your opponent, the number of optimal moves you could possibly make gets smaller and smaller. Therefore, if you're backing someone against the wall, or if someone's doing the same to you, both players' moves become infinitely easier to read. In other words, when you're completely cornered and you think you have no moves left, that is the moment when it's easiest to read your opponent. However, when a person is forced into a defensive position, they can't help but lose their ability to think clearly, so they aren't able to get their minds around their opponent's moves. That's when you spin the chessboard around.
With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. Now my eyes were truly open. When you don't understand anything, you're completely cornered just like I am now. Isn't that a perfect time to spin the chessboard around? While on the defensive, we can't even guess at the culprit scheme. If we spin it around and look at it that way, just what might we see? First off, at the time the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away early the next morning. In short, the culprit had begun without securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses in the storehouse, then was even kind enough to say, "Here they are," with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we'd been probably finding the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them off to us. If we'd all been dim and hadn't noticed the storage shed, the culprit's goal would not have been achieved, wouldn't it? If you think about it this way, the bastard of the culprit, since this morning, they must have been watching our every move with bated breath. After all, if we hadn't been so kind as to discover what was on the storehouse, all of that hard work and preparation they did last night would have just gone poof. What did the culprit want to make us feel by showing us the corpses in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces noticeably destroyed. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies had occurred after death, so it hadn't been the means by which the culprit had killed. It didn't mean anything to those who had been killed. It did mean to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear that they had been killed so brutally. After thinking this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who just danced that tune if you told him, "Please be scared"? If you told him, "Please be scared," you can't just say, "Really? Sure thing." I'm the kind of guy who will start wanting to sneak in through the window. The next thing I had to be concerned with was that so-called magic circle on the shutter. As Maria, who had shown knowledge of the occult rival grandfathers, had recognized that magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch black darkness, talking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? What purpose would have been worth all that effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely all of us would naturally suspect grandfather. If did they want to make us think grandfather was involved? But if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. It wasn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had even been written in Hebrew. So this magic circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication. By saying it, they were hoping for a reaction. A reaction. For some reason, we couldn't find grandfather now. I don't know how grandfather might have spotted the magic circle in the shutter, but did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No, it was a trap to make us suspect that grandfather had participated. You could read it either way. Damn, it's so annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting on this occult show? Somehow that felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who would ask us to enjoy a battle of wits. Is that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her cult game first, or will we pull off her fake skin first? There's a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves?
Why not?
Why not, I guess. I finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gotten quiet. Oh shit. Gotten quiet again. Everyone had sung into their favorite sokas, some deep in thought, some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program. She happily yelled ooh and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there's a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. Who could it be?
Dr. Nanjo.
Maria. Battler himself.
Probably.
No, that'd be retarded. Right now, Aunt Nancy is searching the mansion with his servants, right? Then we shouldn't say, in this room. In this mansion.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, there's like 5 other people.
Yeah, there's like at least 7 more people on the island. After all, it's possible Aunt Nancy was behind this, and we still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone could be guilty. Still, Aunt Nancy and the rest sure are taking their time. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around checking the windows and doors? Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Nancy and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing. But our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Nancy in shock. The talk I'd have with Aunt Eva started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all those 6 at once. Whoa.
Forgive me if I've startled you. I brought this to be prepared for the worst.
After all, that thing in Aunt Nancy's hand was a rifle. At a glance, its silhouette looked like it was a hunting gun. But it was unusually short and kind of looked like a kid-sized weapon. However, it had a weightiness to it that made it clear it was no kid's toy.
That gun is Kinzo's, isn't it?
Did you know about it? That's right. I remembered it was in Father's old collection and I managed to find it.
Whoa, awesome. Nasia, is that thing real?
Yes, it's real. It can fire live ammunition. Long ago, Father used it to scare away wild birds.
Ah, that takes me back. Where did you find that thing? No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even one finger on it. Oh, Grandfather had one of these? I didn't know that. Long ago, Grandfather was really addicted to cowboy films. That generation really liked this kind of rifle. Is that a Winchester? But I've never seen one that short before.
Ah, I remember. It's that gun. That really takes me back. That's the one Steve McQueen fired off and wanted, dead or alive. Or alive or dead. Father sure has good taste. It is an item the master ordered specially from America long ago. As you can see, it is a working gun, so please don't tell anyone about this. He was quite fond of it after he managed to acquire it. It seems the workings that ejected the cartridges were more interesting to him than shooting it, and he played around with it back in the forest all the time. Oh ho ho ho!
Still, it's rather disturbing. Are you sure you should be dragging this out?
This is to prepare for the worst. There was probably more than one offender involved. Furthermore, those horrible people killed 6 of us, including my husband. I have a responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow, in my husband's place.
As Nancy said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find Grandfather as well as check the doors and windows. Since Grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was.
I carefully checked all of the doors and windows throughout the mansion. However, we must be prepared for anything. Everyone, I think it would be best if we all remained here.
Oh, good point. If everyone's gathered here, then we can all feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other.
What do you mean by that, Eva?
Nothing, really. I'm just agreeing with your opinion, aren't I? There's a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Eva was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Nathy was innocent. No, if you view Beatrice's letter as one of the grandfather's complicated pranks and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even grandfather. Also, Aunt Nancy thought the criminal was on the outside. But Aunt Eva thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was the question of whether or not a 19th person exists. That same question had been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner, with a letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. Was the culprit among us or not? And did the witch Beatrice exist or not? If you assume that something as stupid as a witch can exist, you're basically saying that one of these relatives here who share a common bloodline is the culprit. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch. A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices. If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. I keep repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be among us. In the middle of this seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the silence. Well, now it's 1 p.m.
1 o'clock p.m. I remember when it was 6 o'clock a.m.
No, you don't. So, Aunt Nancy was basically like, hey, it couldn't be me because I'm not that stupid. But maybe she is that stupid.
Aunt Natsui?
Eva.
You think that Aunt Eva is stupid?
She could be stupid, and that's why she murdered those people.
So you're really certain that you're stuck on the Eva and Hideyoshi?
Well, we don't have any other actual suspects. I mean, it's kind of weird that Kenzo isn't here right now.
Yeah, and he disappeared. He disappeared from the room. Nobody even knows where he is. He's not in his study.
I don't know. I think this is going to be one of the things where nobody's going to be innocent. I think everybody's responsible for something.
You think so?
I think that could be the case. In fact, I might count on it.
Okay.
Right,
what makes you think that?
Because it's interesting for a story.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe not Battler. Maybe not Maria. Maybe not Nanjo. But everyone else.
Okay.
Okay.
So everyone is just in on these murders that happened?
Yeah.
Except for Battler and Maria
Except-
and Nanjo?
Yep.
Why them?
Well, what do you mean? Isn't it obvious?
So everyone got up in the middle of the night,
And killed these 6 people.
except for Battler and Maria and Nanjo.
Yeah.
Okay.
George killed Shannon because he felt like it.
So everyone's lying.
Actually, Maria killed her own mom.
Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah, so Maria knew. Maria knows.
Yeah, Maria does know.
Yeah, everybody
No.
knows except for Battler, and everyone's just
Yeah.
keeping Battler in the dark.
Yeah. So I do think that it does seem, since there has to be some sort of servant interaction, it either has to be a servant or it has to be a member of the Ushiroma family. So
Well,
it actually couldn't be Hideyoshi unless he was involved with, unless Eva initiated it. And I don't think it could be Natsui because wait, Ken.
Well,
Ken
if Eva and
spouses were
Hideyoshi
around
did it
servants?
together, then Eva could have done anything that he needed to be in the family for, and then Hideyoshi could have just helped her.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
But could Natsuya be order on the servants?
Yeah?
So that means Hideyoshi could do it as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Hideyoshi can do that, yeah. So you think the servants pulled off the murders?
What?
So
What
y-
did you just say?
So you think that the servants pulled off the murders?
I think the servants helped with the murders.
Mm.
Um,
So they just killed Shannon? I mean, like, I can understand Goda, he was an asshole, but why did they kill Shannon?
yeah. Why Shannon? Well, it seems like because it's an order from Ava.
Mm.
It could be an order from Ava. I mean, they were like, okay. She was like, kill Natsuya, and they were like, we can't kill Natsuya for some reason, and they're like, okay, well, just kill the first servant you see or some shit.
Maybe.
Kill Shannon because she's useless. And then Genji, Kumasawa, or Cannon might kill her. Even though he was kind of surprised. Was he surprised at her death, or was he just sad?
He was sad.
Yeah. But then, keeping in line with this, it could also be Jessica, George, or Maria.
Only one of the three?
Well, I mean, like they said, it could be like a bunch of people.
Maybe.
So it could be
Because they
all
were
these
killed
three
in the
people.
dining room, and then they were dragged to the storehouse. That's
Yeah.
why there was blood on the floor in the dining room.
Yeah. So what it could be Eva, Hideyoshi, and George.
And you think Hideyoshi dragged the bodies?
No, with the help of servants.
Oh.
So it could be potentially 6 people. 6 people involved in these murders. And then Nanjo's kind of a wild card. I don't know anything about. It doesn't seem like he would do anything, but maybe his motivations just haven't been fleshed out yet.
Maybe.
Anyways, that's all I got for now.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for watching this episode. This Wednesday episode, right?
Yep. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. See you all for Friday's episode.